Authors Press.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Richardson. I'm from Authors Press. Today is July 29th, 2022, and I'm gathered here today with Cleveland Eason, the author of A Sailor's Advice on Life. This little book here, it's so cool, I love it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Cleveland?
Yes, Nicole, I come from a military background. I had the pleasure of serving my country for 23 years in the Navy, which gave me the opportunity to travel around the world, both the Asian and European theaters of operation. So it's been a great journey so far, and I love the opportunity to interact and engage with people on areas of common interest.
Could you tell us a little brief blurb about your book?
Yes, Nicole, the book is, I believe, is a compass on life's journey. It helps people to navigate around some of the pitfalls that people might encounter during their life's journey. And I believe provides timeless advice on how to achieve happiness during their life's journey.
For the first question that I've got for you today, I'd like to know how you came up with the title of the book.
That's a good question, Nicole. I thought about the conversations I had with my father and other military fathers in my neighborhood. And one of the titles for my book was A Father's Advice on Life. And after some conversations with family members, they recommended A Sailor's Advice on Life. So I give credit to my military service.
I think it's really cool that you decided to change the title to include that background as well. I feel like it makes it more, it encompasses a lot more.
Yes.
So what is a significant way that your book has changed from the very first time you ever wrote it?
That's a good question. Nicole, I'm a father of daughters, and I believe then and still believe there's a need for a change of behavior in men. Therefore, my initial 2001 manuscript is targeted young male audience. And after my initial manuscript was read by one of my female associates, she saw the relevancy for both genders. And based on her recommendations, I rewrote the book. The rewrote was done over a course of 2 years, and it was more than just a change of pronouns. I had to basically have a lot more conversations, discovery, and research to ensure the advice was relevant for all parties that would read my book.
You know, from a woman's point of view, I can't even tell you how much that means to us. So, and that really leads me into my next question. Describe your ideal reader or your target audience. Who did you write this book for?
Yes, Nicole, I wrote this book for young adults ages 21 to 29, their parents and grandparents.
And is there a reason you wrote it specifically for young men at first, or was it just what you felt was right while writing it?
Well, I wrote it originally for young men, thinking about my own experience and information that I would have liked to have known during my early 20s. So that was the reason for my initial target audience.
Okay, so you were your target audience.
Yes, a younger me.
That's interesting. I don't think a lot of people put that into perspective when they write, that maybe they wrote it for their personal audience, but most people don't think like, I wrote this for me, younger me, for myself, It's real nice. I enjoy seeing it.
Yes, thank you.
So what was your favorite part about writing this book?
Well, Nicole, other than finding the time, to be able to set aside my thoughts and collect my thoughts there, I really enjoyed the entire process.
That's great. Like the writing process itself, or just the whole shebang?
It was really the writing and just the opportunity to explore different topics, do some research and self-reflection. So that was just what I consider to be exciting.
On the other hand, what was your least favorite part, if you even had one?
I'll definitely say I didn't have one, other than really sometimes when I looked at the timeline it took to edit the book, which took about a period of maybe about 10 to 11 months. I wish that would have went faster, but in retrospect, I'm glad that it did have that period of time because there are a lot of adjustments that were made during that editorial process.
That totally leads me into my next question as well. How important was professional editing for your story? How did it contribute to building the story and the plot?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I definitely felt very blessed to have professional editors who were opportunities to provide feedback on ways to present ideas. One of the things that I really appreciate is that in addition to making sure the book was grammatically correct, they did not take away from my tone or the way that I wanted to express different ideas. So they allowed me to preserve the voice that I wanted to convey to my audience, but it still ensured the book was grammatically correct.
That's wonderful. So what is some advice that you wish you had before you started writing this book?
That's a good point. I would definitely recommend that people have a strong outline about the main points they want to capture, so they can make sure it's a structured effort. And also be prepared to capture any thoughts or ideas. Some of my best ideas came in the middle of the night, and I just made a voice note or wrote the idea down on a piece of paper or a notepad. But we never know what we're going to get our inspiration from. So being prepared to capture those ideas, and then sometimes we think, well, this is maybe it's not really appropriate, but sometimes when you come back and look at it, those ideas that come to you in the middle of the night are some of the more profound thoughts that could come across in your book.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, at least me, when I sleep, I get comfortable, I let my mind wander, and I don't have that, I don't really know exactly what to call it, but it's like a overlooking kind of thing. Like I just let my mind be. And when I let my mind be and the ideas just come on their own, they're so much better, so much more genuine, so much less forced.
Yes, and I think that's a good way to overcome what we call writer's block.
Yeah, writer's block that is not one of the questions, but I think that's something I'd like to ask. Did you experience writer's block while writing this story?
No, I really didn't, but there were times I allowed, I didn't force the timeline. If I had an idea, my biggest job was to make sure I captured that initial idea and then come back and edit later. So
That's great.
That was the way I really overcame writer's block.
How did writing this book make you feel? What kind of feelings did it evoke?
It was kind of nostalgic because, as I stated earlier, Nicole, it was, one of the title was, what would I told myself 20 years ago if I would have had that opportunity. So in some aspects, it was nostalgic because I had the opportunity to reflect back on some of those areas of my life. I wish I would have had different information. So I thought about those times when this information would have been the most relevant. So it was a nostalgic look. And then also it gave me optimism because of thinking about how applying this information now could benefit myself in my life's journey.
Do you feel like writing this book helped you grow as a person?
Yes, for sure. There is, by documenting or doing the research that on various different subjects, I was able to confirm some thoughts or ideas that I had. And that was very helpful for me for my own personal growth and development.
Did anything surprise you while you were writing this book? Did anything pop out of the blue or just surprise?
Yeah, I would definitely say, Nicole, that one of the discoveries that I made was, despite the diversity that we have in this world, there's a lot of diversity, especially when we look at people from various aspects. I also found that there's a lot of commonality that we have during our journeys of life. Most people go through, I consider to be 4 phases of life, where you're, having a need to be dependent on your parents or the people that provide care for you. Hopefully, you have a separation phase where you're developing the skills you need to hopefully be able to take care of yourself during the independent phase of life. And then, unfortunately, we come back and we find ourselves in our winter season of life, maybe requiring the assistance of our family for our last seasons of life. So I found that most people, regardless of where you go through, have those 4 phases that we have to go through. The preparation, separation, independence, and dependent phases of life.
Are you pleased with the overall outcome of this book?
Yes, Nicole, I'm very pleased with the book. It's short, but I like to remind people that despite its brevity, it contains a lot of information. And also it does some thought-provoking, because I want the readers to do some self-reflection and actually make sure they can explore those areas of their life where this information could be the most benefit for them.
Is there anything you would want to change to be further pleased with it? Is there anything that would please you more?
Well, one thing that would please me more with the book is not necessarily a change in it, but I would like to see some maybe workbooks where individuals can do some more personal reflection on the different parts of the book, because I believe there's material that it really takes more time to develop, and there's an opportunity to personalize that based on your own life experience.
I think that would be a wonderful addition to make, maybe not now, but in the future, next couple of years, next 10 years, who knows, someday in the future. But a workbook to add on to this, to either have separately or together, I think that'd be wonderful.
Yes, that's one of the thoughts I'm thinking about.
I definitely noticed that while I was reading through your book. I haven't read all of it at all, but I did read a chapter or 2 earlier, and I was enjoying it. I enjoy all the advice that I can see, and I see that it comes from your heart, which I really like.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole.
You're very welcome. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on or mention before we wrap this up?
Yes, Nicole, as you know, there's billions of books out there, podcasts, and other sorts of information. And what I like for people to do, or at least think about, is that despite this vastness of information, every day there's still unique stories being created that really should be told and shared with the world. So I highly recommend that people pursue those endeavors. Don't think that just because there's other titles out there that there's not really an individual that could be touched by the story that you have, because there's a uniqueness, even though there's a lot of commonality, but it's still a lot of uniqueness in a story that I believe needs to be shared. So I encourage people to pursue those endeavors.
And I've just got one more question before we wrap this up. Is this the first time you've ever worked with Authors Press?
No, Nicole, it's not the first time. I've had the pleasure of working with Authors Press on a couple of projects over the past 18 months. Most recently, the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books was, in my opinion, was a very well done, professionally developed experience. That's my first book fair, and I was very pleased with how much information I was given by Authors Press on what to expect and how to get the full benefit of that experience.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate your compliments. And yeah, I remember seeing your book at the LA Book Fair. I was there, and I was really happy to see you be featured there. Yeah, and I really want you to have any opportunities that Authors Press has available. So I really encourage you to research into it and talk to your assigned author advisor about what other opportunities we may have available.
Okay, I really appreciate that, Nicole.
So if you ever have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to Authors Press either via our phone number or our email, or if you live close, you could even stop by in the office.
All right, that sounds great, Nicole. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Thank you, Nicole.
It's been very pleasant speaking with you. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you.